Hello, I'm APX Toycat, and Minecraft's most powerful mob has two obvious uses. The first is being able to craft its drop into one of the most valuable items in the game, the beacon, and the second is that any mob killed by the Wither will drop the Wither Rose, which is arguably the rarest form of plant life in Minecraft. But there is a third use for this mob, a way to take advantage of the overly explosive fight, and today I'm going to be utilizing it to its full capacity, and we're going to hope that that doesn't end in absolute disaster. And so this is the site of my big project today. It might not look like much, but right down there is an ancient city. Surprisingly enough, just over there is my other ancient city. I have two ancient cities right by each other, although looking at the second one, is it really an ancient city anymore? But yeah, basically I have this ancient city, but I've got a big problem. It's dug down so many blocks in the ground. Look how big of a hole that is. If I want to uncover this thing and make it exposed to the surface, a very stupid, but honestly, project I want to attempt, I'm going to have to take myself a shovel, and I'm just going to have to start digging down, and then after 3 blocks I have to start using a pickaxe, and I have to dig literally tens of thousands of blocks, if not hundreds of thousands of blocks, which is kind of unrealistic to do myself. I mean, storing all this stone might be fun by itself, but I have a much better idea, and that is to go somewhere in the middle here. I think it'd actually be better if I go lower down than this. I'm just going to dig straight down right now. You can trust me when I say that it never goes badly, and as you can see, no lava yet, so clearly I'm correct. So yeah, we're going to get to about here, and then we're going to decide to take some special blocks that I brought all the way across my world with me, because we are 10,000 blocks from home right now, and I'm going to make myself a little cave-sized area so I can place those blocks. And now I'm going to do something that I'd be lying if I said I was any amount prepared for, because here's the scoop. Okay, apparently that worked. Where did he even go? I'm lost, I'm scared. I just want to get out of there and avoid that initial blast, because we all know how bad it can hurt. Even from this far away, we still got hit. But yeah, basically, using explosions would be ridiculous. It would cost me so much in resources. Where did he even go? There he is, okay. Using my own explosions would be ridiculous. It would cost me a lot in resources, but what we can do instead is use the Wither and its own explosion creation machine and get the Wither to fire repeatedly at me through these very tiny gaps. As long as I make a nice thin hallway through which the Wither can try and fire at me but can't succeed, the Wither is going to continue to try and destroy a special little hole over here. As you can see, doing pretty successfully, and this is going to be my big plan to excavate the ancient city. I want the ancient city to be partially, if not fully, uncovered, and so to do that, the Wither's gonna have to fire a lot of shots at me, and it's super dangerous, truth be told. But yeah, wear your best armor, make sure you have good food on you, maybe a totem undying, and you should be fine. You might be thinking right now, wait a minute, isn't the Wither meant to be the most terrifying mob? And yes, if you're playing Bedrock, the Wither is the most terrifying thing by such a long shot. However, as you all know, difficulties change a lot of things in Minecraft, and on Bedrock, the Wither is one of those things. So we don't get the Wither effect from these skulls. We get the full explosive effect, but none of that crazy potion. And the other, as you can see from my torch being destroyed, well, we get the full withering effect, the full explosion effect, but we get none of that withering, and also it does a little bit less damage, like everything does in Easy, which means that, yeah, in no time whatsoever, our small tunnel becomes one like this. You can actually supplement this if you really want to with your own mining, so let's just say I go mining over here. Now the Wither's still going to be firing shots at me, but I'm also doing my own mining job. I would probably recommend doing something like that, because if you leave the Wither fully alone, she'll float upwards, but as long as she can vaguely see you... You know, is it a she? I think the Wither's a she. Big, strong, powerful woman who don't need no Wither skeletons tell her what to do. Oh, is she down here now? There we go. So yeah, you can just continuously sit here. If you really want to, this is a very risky move, you could send down a really long hallway directly from her. From the big mob with the 3 heads. You know, maybe it's offensive to call something you hate a woman in that way. You know, like we call regal things like boats and you know, like, and parks, you know, she's like, oh yes, the land. We call countries she's. Should we call monsters she's? I feel like monsters are men, right? There's an interesting argument in there somewhere. But yeah, the Wither is now going to do these massive damage of explosions, and 2 things are going to happen. One is this big cave is going to form, but also every time she tries to go upwards, every time the monster tries to go upwards, it's going to make this big tunnel up. And as long as we don't let it go too high up there, it's kind of scary whenever you see being followed like this, then yeah, we're going to have a big hole created, and let's see what happens over, let's say, the next 15 minutes. So I'm just going to vaguely stand around here, doing a little bit of mining, but nothing too heavy. And I'm going to see how many blocks I end up with. I'm already at a full inventory. I'm going to see how many blocks I end up with, but also how much damage is done, just for a fun comparison. Here's an interesting observation, actually, only about 10 minutes in. But even if the Wither can't see you, he can still fire at you. And so, wow, look at that, you can see. The explosions have gone so close, they're destroying my torches already. Which means that you can literally stand anywhere within 4 to whatever chunks of the Wither, and he will still just immediately start firing at you, meaning this literally works as an AFK farm. I thought you'd have to be here doing some amount of work yourself, which is why I've been filling my sugar box, but you literally don't. As long as you stand in the right direction that you want the explosions to go, the Wither will happily oblige. And so, standing right here, now the explosions will go in the direction of this cave, and that's kind of crazy if you ask me. But yeah, I'll wait a few more minutes, just to give you a full 15 minutes of explosion verdict. That's a quarter hour, it's a decent measurement. Okay, so the 15-minute in update is that we have a cave that looks like this, and I'd say this is definitely more than you could mine in 15 minutes, but it's not drastically shut. So, if you had access to 3 explosions the size of the Wither every, 5 seconds, you'd be doing a lot better than has been done right here. In fact, the biggest boon for the Wither is whenever you mine it. Oh wow, okay, this is not what I'm trying to go for. The biggest boon for the Wither is when you end up mining into a cave where, it happens to connect to something else she's already done. But yeah, for the most part, the Wither is a really good miner, but it's not like 10 times better than mining by hand. However, here's the thing. Any amount of mining that you can do by hand, or even can do by explosions, or any other method, as long as it doesn't involve, having no mobs around, which if it involves having no mobs around, I've got bad news for you because these caves go pretty crazy, huh? Actually, it's a good time to have even if you don't want mobs around, having the Wither is great as long as it can fire explosions, because all these other mobs that are here, you know who's going to deal with them? That's right, it's my good pal, the Wither. I mean, I can't have light, which sucks. Honestly, that is the biggest downside, although that too can be fixed by mining upwards, because yeah, here's my main point. I think although the Wither is great because it's got all these explosions, you probably would want to do something by yourself too. If you go AFK, you're going to get something done, but for best results, what you're going to want to do is do your own mining and know that wherever you go, the Wither is going to be mining too. So you can utilize that to your own best way if you really want to. But now the way I'm going to take advantage of that is by making a spiral staircase upwards, because having a cave this big is useless if it doesn't go down to the ancient city and also doesn't go up to the surface. Not least because I need to put some light in there. Oh god, the Wither's here! But yeah, the Wither has this really big grudge against you. Against it, really, I guess it's not a grudge against you, it's a grudge against all living things. But as a living thing, you need to be a little bit worried about it. But once you're in a deep enough state, the whole point of this series to some extent is late game Minecraft survival. Once you're, like more than a few dozen hours into a world, you are a relatively protected state. I think the reason a lot of people start new Minecraft worlds is because they don't know what to do once you've done the basic rigmarole of like, well, I've got armor, I've enchanted my armor, I've got decent tools, etc, etc, etc. What do you do once you've finished all of those basic tasks? Is a genuine question that people arrive at. However, the answer to that question is like, well, you work on the fun projects, and you do the silly late game stuff like having a Wither help you mine out the top of an ancient city. I think this is, to me, my favorite part of Minecraft, and I do understand a lot of people get confused or bored or lost at this point. This is one of my favorite parts of the game because, yeah, it actually is one of those really weird questions. Like, what is the best way to mine out this many tens of thousands of blocks? And I think the answer is to use the Wither. It definitely is working great, and so as far as like extra uses for the Wither goes, this is definitely up there. It might even be the best use after a while, because once you have enough beacons, you could argue it's never possible to have enough beacons until your world is covered in in them, you might say. But most people would say once you have the beacons to cover your major mining spots, and you have a beacon for the next major project you want, I mean, clearly I don't have one, so I'm too beacon poor. But like once you have all of those things, then what comes next is a really interesting and valid question. But what I would say to those people is, yeah, but isn't this like way more fun? Okay, so now we've got another access point to the surface. We can use this just as our way up and down. It's probably partially destroyed by the Wither at this point, but yeah, I'm gonna make this hole down wider. I'm gonna like just make it 2 extra blocks wide for now, just to be nice and simple. And then I'm gonna be hopefully having the Wither expand it some more. We'll just keep on digging these blocks down and having the Wither do the rest for us. And yeah, again, like I said, just everything you can stack kind of endlessly if you want to. If you want to make a hole that goes down this deep, then it's better to have the Wither also working on the hole from underneath. And yeah, it's kind of funny to me that the Wither is effectively an auto miner, and it is going to be tricky to use that in places where there isn't so much to be mined. But if you are working on such large projects, I guess it's worthwhile as a consideration. Although I'd also say if you're working on such large projects, you can basically decide the speed you work at. If you want to use wooden tools to mine something like this out, it would be insane, a little bit crazy. Also, I think making it this wide actually might be dangerous. I want the Wither not to be able to fly up out of it, now that I think about it, so we'll deliberately make like a checkerboard pattern, just so that doesn't... I don't want him getting out into the jungle and then getting out into my other stuff. So yeah, let's see what's happened while I've been gone. I imagine there's been a lot of Wither explosions. I mean, I can see there's a lot of blocks on the ground here. But let's... Oh, wait, has he been going up the tower? Maybe. I don't... Oh, wait, no. So you can see, literally, as I was going up, the Wither was mining up with me to try and reach the surface. Now that I'm coming down, the Wither is doing the opposite. Why do I keep going back and forth between she and he? You know, I guess you can do that. And when you're talking about its, you know, like things that are genderless, you know, like cats. You ever seen a cat with a gender? Bet you haven't. I mean, is that a controversial statement? Or is that... you know, I don't know, but or like a chair is maybe a better example. There we go. Chairs are like cats, but they don't get mad at you just for looking after them, you know? That's my hot tip. But anyway, yeah, I guess we can give it any label we want. We can call him Steve if we want to. If you name tag the Wither, it'll change the boss bar. At least it did on Console Edition. It should do it on Bedrock too. If it doesn't, that'd be a great shame. And so, yeah, if you want to call him Steve, then you can call him Steve, probably. But yeah, I want to talk about some more serious things than whether the Wither's name is actually Steve. I mean, I'm just saying, it makes sense that everything in the Minecraft world is called Steve. Although, you know, do you want to know the fun fact? I think Notch come out multiple times and said, yeah, when I said Steve was the name of the Minecraft character, I was just kind of joking, and everyone's gone with it since, so I guess that's his name now. Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and get the Wither into a different part of this cave, which is gonna require some coaxing, I do think. But if I get the Wither into a different part of the cave... Oh, can I still use my staircase? No, my staircase is gone. Okay, maybe we can get the Wither down here. Why, I really do have to entice the Wither down, because otherwise... Yeah, if I head over here, right, the Wither's just gonna keep firing in this direction until he gets to me. Maybe that's not a good idea. I guess if we just make a second staircase upwards, then that might work out in my favor. I guess as long as we have two staircases, we'll be fine. So I'll make it in this cave over here. This otherwise kind of derelict cave. And, oh man, it's such a big cave, actually. You know, derelict doesn't even work for caves, right? I think that definition has man-made in it somewhere. But yeah, there's a really interesting thing that's been happening in the last week for a lot of people. And at first, I really took this approach of like, man, I definitely understand if you personally know someone who dies in history, why it's such a big deal, an even bigger deal that it's not just this historical figure that's been lost, but someone like close to you. Like that's always been the thing to me, is that like we care about things that are close and personal to us. Of course we do. That's the very nature of human existence. But when you see people who are like, oh man, this person I've never met's death really ruined my day. I saw a non-ironic Reddit post being like, yeah, we're Americans, but my wife just came home and said she has fallen or something, and I just started shedding tears on my sofa. And you know, like, to me, it like genuinely seems like fanfiction. It seems like made-up emotions. Like, maybe I have just such a struggle understanding the daily, the basic human emotions that I'm really confused by the idea that, like, a person, a figure dying that way. But the thing that really has taken hold since then, the understanding I think I've come to is there's this really popular phrase about how history takes place, and it's that sometimes in history it feels like you know, like some weeks in history, some decades in history, weeks pass, nothing happens over decades. But then there are some weeks where decades happen. You know, like the the whole of, if you think about how much happened, the difference between 1980 and 1982 probably wasn't very much. The difference between 1990 and 1992 was genuinely a reforming of the entire world order. Magnitudes of countries became free under their own, governments, under entirely different economic systems. That is a huge change in the world. The Berlin Wall fell, right? It's hard to understate. It's like just what a big deal that was. And so the same thing happened really over this last couple of years. We had a very sleepy feeling like a year or so where everyone's like, okay, let's just put everything on hold. Let's just see what happens when we do that. And now all of a sudden, not only are people realizing like, oh yeah, that was actually kind of a historic thing. We made such a big blunder that we're still going to look back on for decades to come as we look at the consequences of this. One of the big things that I think everyone knows not to do, but that we do all the time as a society, is trading short-term, long-term benefits for short-term ones. And we made some pretty big ones like that recently, not least in the last couple of years, but also. Oh Christ, I do not like being up in a place where mobs spawn when mobs are spawning. I guess if we're going to be destroying the blocks buffer anyway, using creepers to destroy the easiest blocks might actually be in my best interest. Okay, yeah, there we go. Thank you. I'm glad that that's the one time where instead of a creeper being there at the most inopportune moment, that was a creeper being like, actually, I heard you need my services, I'm here to help. And I valued that. So I'm going to dig another tunnel down now too, just over here. It'll be 3 blocks wide, and then I'll shorten it down when we get to the base to make sure we're not going too much. Because I just want to have as much light as I can coming into this thing. I mean, I say light's coming into this thing as if it's not nighttime, but you get what I'm saying, I hope. But yeah, so it feels as though in the last couple of weeks, decades of history have passed all at once. And that's why I think deaths are so significant, is because... we almost, one of the problems of the great man theory of history, you could say, is that we do really place a lot of societal progress on the shoulders of very few people. Like, who's responsible for Apple making the iPhone? It's all this one Steve Jobs guy, no one else was involved. So I need to stop him going this way, because that's where my tunnel actually... Oh, I'm getting very spiced up right now. Okay, I'm gonna get around the corner, I'm gonna die! Okay. So I'm still going to take some damage, but it's going to be a-okay. It's going to be okay. And also the Wither's shooting at me now, and hopefully he's going to fly down this passageway. That's my hope. That's what I need to have happen. Maybe move a little bit lower down. But yeah, she's getting really close to the surface, and I don't like that. I don't like when he gets so dangerously close to... once it's in the outside world, I'm going to have like a flying battle with it. I don't like the sound of that. Honestly, what I could just do to reset the location of this thing, once I've healed up a little bit more, and maybe have more light to my name. One of the things that's happened is, like, deaths represent this huge, point in history where not just a person dies, but, like, an idea dies. Our last connection to, like, 1950 and really, honestly, the World War II era, perhaps you could say, is gone. A lost shared collective perception of that. And that is a big... It's like, in every game, but also every, like, movie, there's this moment where, like, there's a big, tragic death. There's a big moment of, like, like when the Great Deku tree dies, and... Is it Deku? It's probably Deku, yeah. But when the big tree dies in Ocarina of Time, you're like, oh, he was the one figure. That was the one guy. He was all-powerful, and then the all-powerful guy dies, and that's basically how people feel when there's, anything equivalent to that in real life. Like, and so yeah, that's why I think the phrase, in some weeks, decades pass, because, I mean, in terms of ideals, it might, this old lady might have been from a very long time past, but, it represents, like, the changing of a lot of things. People say the changing of the guard, which I think is actually relevant in this situation. Anyway, yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to... Okay. I think I accidentally pushed the Wither towards my exit. That is the opposite of what I wanted to do. So I'm hoping we can get the Wither to fly after me into my little cave I've made. I don't think it's going to work that way. I think it's going to work... Oh, there we go! Wow! Perfect. Okay, so I get behind the Wither now. Oh, that's not going to work. There is... Okay, just keep following me. You want to come get me? No, not my torch. Not my torch. Oh, it's so annoying to get these torches back. Like, we're just gonna... There we go. So, keep coming down here. A little bit more. Just keep coming into this cave. Follow me for as long as you like. And at the very end, you know what you'll find? Something wonderful. So yeah, if we put the torch a little bit more out of the way, I think that should help us out a little bit. And now we can run out into there, and we can just kind of finish off the Wither. It's a little bit dark. It's the darkest Wither fight I've had in a while. And she is... Honestly, it seems as though fighting seems to help, because although these explosions are 3 times every minute or whatever, when she does that raise up attack, or raise up, like, fly away thing, it just instantly destroys blocks that are in her collision box. Side note, this is why you shouldn't fight the Wither near things you care about. I think that should be obvious to most people. But in case somehow it was not, don't fight the Wither near things that you care about. You will have a bad time. And having a bad time, pro tip, not very fun for most people. So yeah, we'll make, we need to get 15 of these, 15 of these. Make 15 of these, or 64 of these. Doing this in the dark sucks. I think Minecraft in the dark is, like, totally fine when you're playing by yourself. But when you're, like, trying to show people what's happening, you're like, I vaguely see the outlines of some interesting things. This is not what I signed up for. Yeah, wow, there's another cave up there. That is... that is fascinating to me. And there's a skeleton at the top of that cave, but I can't get to the skeleton. And the Wither's not killing him for some reason. There we go. Actually, you know, that's just what I wanted. That is my equality concern, all out of the way. So yeah, we're now into another cave, which maybe that's the real benefit of the Wither, is by making such big explosions, it's helping us find cave after cave after cave. But yeah, we run around, place a few of those around the place, just so we can see what's happening. And then, yeah, this is, maybe having the Wither show up was maybe an easier thing said than done. If you want to actually get the advantages from it, and then kill the Wither and then reset it, can be kind of tricky. But yeah, make sure you have a Smite sword. If you're ever fighting the Wither, Smite is really good for single-player worlds. Oh, wow. Man, that was intense. That was my sign that I need to back up. I guess it was that, like, halfway Wither explosion. Oh, please stop following me. Please stop following me. Okay. Okay, I can't see anything. I'm in a little box now. I'm gonna run away from this. See, now that I'm nice and far away from the Wither, but I'm below the Wither, it actually does work out quite well in my favor again. Because, as you can see, now she's destroying blocks above me, making a tunnel down here. Somehow that actually is the better way to do this, is to have the Wither be really close to the things you care about, and then you be close to the things down below. And, yeah, if I just AFK here for a bit, really good things will eventually happen. Probably. Maybe really bad things. I guess we can find out by AFKing for a bit. So yeah, I'm not usually a big fan of the idea of AFK Minecraft, but I do want to experiment with this a bit. And so I kind of need to know what happens. Also, yeah, there are now so many blocks being broken and being left on the ground, the game is getting a little bit laggy in that way. So also something to keep in mind. Maybe lower your render distance, or things get a little bit slowed down.
A few minutes later.
Whoa, that was faster than I was expecting. Oh my god. The speed. Okay, so... Has to be worth mentioning, Minecraft is borderline unplayable at this point. Oh yeah, look at this. Energized Wither is doing so much more than pre-energized Wither. Oh Christ. If you've ever felt to yourself like, man, I like Minecraft, but I wish it was a PowerPoint presentation instead, I do have to recommend playing on a laptop and then trying this exact technique right here. Oh, Lord. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, man. It's just so hard to do anything right now. This reminds me of what it was like to play Minecraft back in, like, 2010, when you didn't really have a PC that was good enough to run Minecraft, but you were stubborn and you just insisted on doing it anyway. This is exactly what that is like. You know the feeling, right? You know the feeling. Oh! Fireworking is not smart. Where am I? I genuinely can't answer that question. Oh, it's just impossible to play! Are we even playing Minecraft? Okay, so I'm getting destroyed right now. Oh, it's the Wither dig attack that I'm getting. Okay, I'm gonna have to reset something. I mean, what was that, right? Okay, little bit of an update. It looks like we found an abandoned mine shaft. You know, I usually don't like to, you know, like take, you know, shared credit for this sort of a thing, but I do have to admit that I really am not doing the heavy lifting on this one. It really is the big mob that tunnels in very terrifying torpedo formations. This is the stage of the bedrock fight that gets people terrified, by the way. This is the reason people make memes about how much harder bedrock is than Java, because you'll just be chilling by yourself enjoying a mine shaft, and then there's the Wither. And you know what? It really is going to take a lot to get it done. And also you have to remember to run away when that's happening. Because, yeah, bad things happen immediately after. Oh, God! There's so much, I can't see any of it. Okay, so, yeah, if you want to have the world's laggiest Wither fight, do it underground. Alternatively, if you have I bet there's a Wither star in here somewhere I need to pick up, but I don't know how I'm going to do that or where it is. Does anyone see it? Well, oh, there we go. This is very important. This is slightly more important than 35 gravel. And yeah, just if you ever get too much lag, kill the Wither, which might be too hard depending on how far in you've gone. Definitely kill the Wither, and then you can just reform another one. The second phase of the Wither is much more effective at destroying blocks. Like, genuinely to the point where it causes problems. Wait, I didn't actually pick up the... Okay, wait, let's try this again. So, a couple deep slate, never stop. There we go, we got it. Genuinely to the point where it causes issues. And yeah, I think that's fun. I think that something that can just be a fun little goof-off can also be one of the most devastating things for Minecraft. Which can also be one of the biggest benefits if, let's say, you want to dig... Because, you know, like now, my areas are so much better lit up, so much better destroyed and opened up, etc. And so thank you to the Wither for this. Wow, look at that! The Wither found diamonds as well. You know, don't count this mob out, because it will find you lots of useful things. Definitely not useless. Definitely useful. Love to get a few... Honestly, finding diamonds this way might be a valid strategy. Once you're in the late game phase of Minecraft, you can make some pretty wacky decisions about what you want to do, and it's cool because you get to be the one who sets your own goals. And so my goal of having a big open cave... Oh god, oh, okay. No, I don't want to die by creeper after all of this. No, okay. My goal, my very lofty ambition of having a big open cave made by the Wither, which would make my job of mining over the ancient sea easier, has been done. I think if I really wanted to destroy all of this, all of these blocks all the way, it's going to take me hours and hours and hours of mining, which is actually a fun segue to my next point. I just got the Supersonic achievement on Windows 10 for the first time. I did it on Xbox a long time ago, but I did it accidentally there because of the limitations of realms. Full disclosure here, just so we're not like, you know, like cheesing anything, trying to hide anything. I did, because I'm running this in the realms right now because my laptop is not necessarily very capable of doing stuff by itself, but then the realm failed me. I guess it makes sense that there were tens of thousands of blocks on the ground, but yeah, because it's on a... one of the things I just cannot do is this, like, flying upwards, I just get these little bounces, and now I'm out of fireworks, so I'm gonna have to mine a whole pathway up myself, which does suck, but it's what we gotta do, I guess. I'm gonna need a lot of torches for this, so I'm gonna do my basic housekeeping of keeping my torch box. I have a whole box full of torches. Pro tip, if you're ever doing any big projects that need so much light, I always recommend, like, well, just keep a place for all of those things, because you're gonna need a lot of coal, a lot of sticks, and you don't wanna have your whole inventory filled with it. So my little torch box is very handy for... Yeah, I'm gonna have to mine up 120 blocks, because I can't use fireworks right now. So yeah, it's one of the cool benefits of Realms is that it does have regular backups of your world in case it fails them, and you know, sometimes it will. And yeah, I feel at least somewhat vindicated on that. But to go back to my previous segue, if you like mining blocks, maybe you'll like what my next project is in this world, because here is my Nether portal. Well, here are all my chests from the ancient city that are sitting there waiting to be sorted and moved around. But here is my Nether portal, 10,000 blocks away from where my lovely Let's Play house is and all the things you recognize about my world are. It's kind of annoying I had to go this far out, but world generation is like that sometimes. This is the closest ancient city plus mesa plus jungle that I can find. Having two of them is super handy, but it means that even going via the Nether, I have to go about 1,200 blocks. Look at those coordinates, 770 minus 520. And so I've been planning this project for a while, and I only just realized recently what an insane idea it is, because it requires a 1,200 block diagonal tunnel going this way. I could show you the entire thing, and I guess I won't, but digging out this entire 1,200 block tunnel is going to be a hard job, because it needs to be wide enough for boats to go through, so that's a minimum of not just 1 by 2 like it is here, but it has to be at least 3 blocks in each area, and then 3 blocks tall, so you can actually fit in the boat, and then also we're going to have to remove the bottom of this, so we can actually place ice on top of it. We're going to have to remove at least 12 blocks from each layer, each of those 1,200 blocks. Basically, we're going to have to go through at least 24,000 blocks, and that's to make the bare minimum tunnel that would be just this wide. Do you see how tiny of a tunnel this would be? This would be a sad-sized tunnel. I want a mega tunnel. I want at least a big tunnel going all the way through this Nether, and that is going to be incredibly hard to do. It's going to require so many resources, not only being poured into the Nether. I'm going to need thousands and thousands of deep slate or blackstone blocks, whichever one we decide to use. But then also, I'm going to have to take literally tens of thousands, most likely hundreds of thousands, of netherrack blocks out of the Nether. This is a huge project, a huge undertaking, but it will allow me to traverse my Nether slightly faster. It's going to take genuinely dozens of hours. It's going to be a very, very big mega project. But if you're curious as to what I'm going to be up to in future streams, this is going to be that. This is something that I cannot afford to not do, because, yeah, every time that you're not working on something big, you're just letting it slip you by. And if you wait till big events fall to make you realize that you've been letting something slip you by, you might be too late. And one of the things for me that is really important, that I'm not treating importantly enough, is my Nether infrastructure. I love getting places quickly. I love building infrastructure. And so that's why this Thursday's stream, I'm going to be streaming every Thursday until I'm back in the... basically, if you want to be seeing the live stream, seeing this big project, it's going to be happening on Thursdays. It's going to be a lot of netherrack mined, and so I have to make corresponding projects to deal with the netherrack, or I have to just let it fall on the ground, which, as we've seen today, even just ignoring blocks and letting them die on the ground is actually not a good solution, because it might lag you out to the point where the game kills you. So I'm just saying, well, I mean, the game kills you in every sense of Minecraft, because the wither is a part of the game, but, you know, the lag might be so bad that you can't do anything about it. And so yeah, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making a very long diagonal tunnel. I mean, I've already made the bones of the tunnel. I've pathed out the route. If you want to see it, I don't have any fireworks, so if you want to see it, it goes this way a ton. And yeah, it's a very crazy route. It's going to be going over a lot of nether terrain, which will just be wholeheartedly ignoring so that I can get my hands on the fastest travel route through the Nether. Because yeah, if I show you the current route, I'll show you on screen at like 10 times speed or something. It takes so long to get around this Nether, so building a direct path, just like the Romans did, or just like, you know, other people who are important did, is going to be super important. Also, my current path relies on using a lot of fireworks, which I don't have because of, you know, interesting issues with realms and the latency on it. And so, yeah, lesson learned there. I hope you'll enjoy this video. I hope you've been having a fine week. If you've been having a not fine week, have you considered having a better one? This is your order to do precisely that. And yeah, no, for real, thank you very much for the support on the Let's Play. It's not going to be a weekly series forever, like, you know, like it would be cool if it was, but I do understand why that's tricky. Man, fighting, I don't even know when I looked at that Enderman. I really don't feel like I did. I think he's just making something up at this point. But, yeah, basically, yeah. In fact, I have a tunnel right now. Should I just go find that tunnel? It won't be too hard. If I just go this way at layer 70, I'll eventually find it, right? So, let's start digging. Isn't it wacky how much of this video was, like, purely in the dark? We've had to, like, lighten that up after the fact. But when you're in the Nether, even when you're, like, fully encapsulated by cave and there's nothing around you, you can see much better, even though this is, like, the dark, gloomy hell dimension. That is an interesting fact, is it not? If you don't think it is, then I don't think you're interesting. But, yeah, no, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you found it to be somewhat interesting. I like doing these silly little tests and challenges, and I hope that you enjoy watching them. because, yeah, I will be working on a very big challenge soon. And, yeah, I hope you enjoy, and maybe you want to come watch one of those. It's fun to do it live, and it's fun to have little chats that we can when working on such a big project. So if you want to see the longer form chats that we kind of can do in these Let's Plays, that'll be happening there. Because the realization I have had from looking at the performance of previous Let's Plays, like, yeah, making a video over half an hour long is like borderline suicide on YouTube unless it's like so well produced and engagement edited that like people are going to watch the whole thing by and large. You know, the 10-hour video, even though it has an average watch time of over half an hour, it's like, well, half an hour out of a 10-hour video is terrible as far as YouTube's concerned. That video is only worth watching 5% of the way through. I think half an hour is 5% of 10 hours. Anyway, so, I guess it literally would be. So, yeah, just a fun reminder that if you want to see the super long form stuff, it'll be via those live streams. And I'm going to be trying to public more of those now. Even though YouTube's common sense says not to, because again, something watch time on 2-hour videos, I'll be making the live streams public, and if you want to check them out after the fact, you can. Or, I'd really appreciate if you came and watched me live this Thursday. Okay, this was a very long ad for myself, but, you know, it's something it's something I assume you enjoy watching, and it's me, so hopefully you didn't mind listening to it. Okay, thank you very much for watching, hope you all enjoyed, because I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.